And so they basically play 5 players out on the perimeter with our size. That's going to cause us some matchup problems, but I'm looking forward to that challenge with this team. I mentioned it earlier when I was in here that I expect this team to be very deep. I expect us to play 9 to 10 people, night in and night out. I've seen some very good things in our preseason exhibition games. They were closed scrimmages, so I'm not allowed to comment on them, but I was able to see some very, very good things from this team. And as we continue to get the moving parts put together, finding out when Kaylin Pugh will be eligible, that will have a huge impact on how many people we're able to play and at what level we're going to be able to play at very quickly. So I'm very excited about the play of Zaire O'Neal coming off that injury last year. She was never at 100%. And this year, without a doubt, she's going to be, in my opinion, one of the top 10 players in the ACC by the end of the year. We've had some really good play out of Antonia Parasan. She's shooting about 50 or 60% from the three-point line early on, averaging about 4 threes made a game. So that's great to see from her as a junior. We've also had some tremendous play on the perimeter from a freshman, Francesca Pan. I think she's one of the top 5 freshmen in the ACC. She's been in basically double figures every game we've played. She's been a force on both ends. She can rebound about 6'2". She can play multiple positions, and she can rebound the ball and score in 3 different ways, from the three-point line and attacking the rim and a mid-range game. So I've been very, very impressed with the freshmen and the newcomers to this point.
With all the new faces on the team, how has the chemistry been so far from what you've seen?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting and in some ways amazing that you can have players from 8 different countries come together and have such a mutual respect and admiration for each other. I think one of the things that I've had to try to challenge them to do is to confront each other and to hold each other accountable more, because they have such tremendous chemistry. This team, I don't know that I've ever had a team that likes each other as much as this team does. And again, to see so much diversity come together, it's kind of a beautiful thing. And, you know, one of the things that our challenge is early on is to find those people that will confront, each other on the court, because you got to have some type of leadership within the group. I told them we're a very good team now. When this team becomes their team, it'll be a great team.
And how are shooting, how it improved during the offseason. Do you like the look of the perimeter attack from the point as well as from the 2 shooting guards and Francesca as well?
Well, I think with our point position, I think one of the things Amani does is she gets to the rim in transition. We've looked to really push the ball. We're really focused on our early offense this year. I think she's done a great job of pushing the ball in transition and finding her shooters on the perimeter. I still think she needs to be a consistent scorer for us, and we've got to find somebody at that position that can be a consistent scorer. We've got several options in Shea Sweeney, who is still making that transition into our offense after playing at Eastern Michigan for 3 years. But a surprise player has been the play of Tori Cook, Zatoria Cook. She has just been a phenomenal defensive presence, and her speed and quickness has really impressed me, and her ability to get to the rim in transition. So we've got multiple options, where in the past we basically had one option, and Monty had to play like 30 minutes a game, 40 minutes a game, and we're not going to be in that situation this year. So that's been a welcome change.
Talked about possibly using, going 8 or 9 deep. Do you have an idea now who those 8 or 9 players are going to be?
Yeah, I have a pretty good indication. I do think that we've got a couple specialists. We've got Simi Averon, who's 6'4" and 6'5", big, strong post player that can give us some minutes against a bigger post player. We've got several post players that can run the floor with height at 6'3", 6'4". We've got a lot of size, but I've got 9 or 10 in my mind they're going to play consistently double minutes.
Do you expect Zaire to be your leading scorer, and what kind of range do you see her getting to?
I see Zaire being one of our leading scorers. I think we have an opportunity to have 3 and possibly 4 players in double figures each night. Again, Antonia Parasan has been impressive with her perimeter shooting. Francesca Pan has been impressive with her consistency as a scorer all over the floor. Zaire O'Neal has been our presence inside, and we've had other players step up at different times and are able to put points on the board. Again, if Kaylin Pugh is eligible, that's a whole nother level. So, right now her first game back will be Alabama, at Alabama in December.
What is her eligibility matter?
She transferred here from Ohio State last year. At Christmas, she had a sick parent, and her stepfather, and he passed away in the meantime. And she transferred to get back closer to home to help take care of her mother and her stepfather. And in the meantime, he's passed away. We've filed a request for a waiver from the NCAA. We're set to hear on Friday. One way or the other, hopefully. If that doesn't pan out, she will be eligible in December when we play Alabama.
The ACC this year, you're always going to have your Notre Dames, your Louisvilles, those type of teams. Do you see any surprise teams?
Georgia Tech. I think we're definitely going to surprise some people. We surprised me. So I know we're going to surprise some people. We have so many new faces, so many new players. I think a lot of people picked us ninth because last year we were able to win 20 games and go 8-8 with a limited roster. And I think this year the fact that we have the talent and the depth that we have, I think we're going to surprise some people. I think Francesca Pon is going to be a surprise. I mean, she's a special freshman. She doesn't play like a freshman. And you got Alo Edafrike. When she turns it on, she's a new face that people aren't in the ACC aren't familiar with. And then you add into that Kaylin Pugh, another player she could go double every night. She just plays with relentless effort. And I eventually see Katarina Vukovic being a specialist. She can play 5 positions on the floor. We have a lot of different weapons than we've had in the last 3 years.
You've always prided yourself and your teams on your defense. Where does this one stack up, and are they really kind of getting ornery to play someone else?
Yeah, I definitely think they are. I mean, we play against our Gold Squad, which is a group of guys every single day, and they're very physical with us. And so it's going to be, one of the challenges has been not to get as many fouls as we get in practice. We were able to give in practice because we're playing against guys. But, I think this team has really bought into our system. We're playing a little bit different in our presses, in our zone traps. We're able to extend our defense a lot more than we've been able to the last 3 years. And our man defense, we've been able to get a lot more aggressive and do a lot of different things. So I think one of the things that has stood out to me in the non-conference in these games we played is how physical we are and how tremendous the pressure we're able to put on another team defensively.
Added depth and the athleticism that you have, will that enable you to keep the pressure on maybe longer than you could have before when you had a limited bench?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons we came into the season wanting to play multiple defenses and press and extend our defenses so we could play more people. And I really, as our players grow and learn our system, and Shannon Scott, for instance, who's a tremendous athlete, I think she will earn more and more minutes as the season progresses as she learns the system. And she's one of those players that you want to play 94 feet because she just get out and run. And I mentioned it before when I was in here, she's the most athletic player I've ever coached at Georgia Tech. And so once she learns the system and she learns how to play at this level, I think she could earn more and more minutes and really impact our defense.
What's the deepest rotation you've had prior to that?
4 years ago, in the Sweet 16 team we played 9 double minutes, and we played a 10th person, a specialty player, somewhere between 5 and 12 minutes, just depending. So probably 10 deep is probably the deepest I've gone. I've also, on that team, I had specialty players that got minutes here and there, but that was definitely, without a doubt, the deepest team.
You mentioned that Sweet 16 team. You've always had like a look at a Chelsea Regions kind of player like that, kind of a dirty work kind of player. Who would you say is going to fit that role for this year's team?
Well, Kaylin Pugh is that type of player. She's what I call a junkyard dog. I mean, she's diving on the floor. She's taking charges. She's getting deflections. She goes and gets offensive rebounds. She can get a defensive rebound and take it rim to rim. She's our most aggressive player, but she's fearless. And, I think that half a year she spent at Ohio State, really helped her as far as playing. She played against Notre Dame already. She's had those kind of experiences. But she's that type of player to me. And I believe as the season progresses, Alo Edafrike will be very similar to that. She's doing a great job on the boards right now. It's just she's a little rusty from sitting out a year offensively. So I think, again, as she gets game experience under her belt and gets back into game shape, I think we could see a lot of progression from her from the start of the season to the ACC season.
I know you recruit a lot in Europe, but how did you find Francesca? What was kind of the story with that?
I actually recruited Francesca Pon for 2 years, and I went over when I went over to Venice to see to meet with Antonia Parasan, I was able to see Francesca Pon, and then I was introduced to her through Antonia Parasan's family, and I continued to develop that relationship over 2 years. And from her junior year and her senior year, we made several trips over there, and she had an opportunity to go pro or come to college in the U.S. And at the end of the day, she chose to come to Georgia Tech, and it was very a late sign. It was a late pickup for us because right to the final hour, she wasn't sure if she was going to turn pro or come to the States, and she decided to come to Georgia Tech, fortunately for us, and she's just had an immediate impact on our program. Okay, thank you.